International bitterness units, or better known as IBUs or even BUs for short, is a common beer stat found in most breweries and tap rooms. Like a score for wine, it's a number that many of us use to decide which beer is good and which beer is not. Unfortunately, this number tells us very little. My question is, are you one of the millions of beer drinkers that have been misled by IBUs? When you step inside Inbound Brew Co., you'll find a variety of great craft beer, from a Berliner Weiss at 0 IBUs to a West Coast IPA at nearly 100. And with this wide range of IBUs, the challenge is deciding how much bitterness is just right for your palate and which beer will get you there. I'm Jeremy Storton. I'm an advanced Cicerone and the host of the Good Beer Matters podcast. I've partnered with Brewery DB to bring you Trusted BrewKnowledge. Trusted BrewKnowledge is a series of videos to help you better understand beer and what to make of it. And today, we're going to talk about the bitter truth of IBUs.
So I'm the owner of Inbound Brew Co., and I kind of oversee all the production side of the business, write the recipes. So I've been brewing since right around 2009.
So now we're at the very end of this continuum of IBUs. We're at 80 to 100 IBUs. For anyone who's intimidated by bitterness or doesn't like bitterness, then this would be that range that most people would shy away from. But we were just talking off camera about how these can actually be quite drinkable.
Right, because when you get into these big beers, there's a lot of flavor going around. Mm-hmm. So double IPAs, you're going to have a lot of malt characteristics in that beer because it's, it's not going to ferment dry like a traditional IPA or single IPA or session. So you crank up those bitterness units just to keep that beer, somewhat balanced and refreshing. So you're drinking smaller quantities of these because they are going to be 10% or in that realm. Yeah. But but if you didn't crank up those bitterness units, with the hops, you're not going to have something that's, it's going to be sweet in the finish, and you're not going to drink hardly any of it. And
I've had a few of those, just really strong stouts that didn't have enough bitterness. Yeah. It was like eating that chocolate mousse for dessert, where you take 2 bites, you're like, oh, I can't eat it. That was good, but I can't eat another bite. Yeah. I've had beers like that too, where it's like, that's good, but it's just too much. Right. We need that balance. Yeah. We need those hops. We need those IBUs.
Yeah, because otherwise, like you said, it's going to be beer that's going to be very one-dimensional. Sweet in the finish, sweet all around. So.
But we're talking about imperial stouts. We're talking barley wines, wheat wines, and even strong ales, where we have those 80 to 100 IBUs. But you're also going to get the malt bill in there. You're also going to get the alcohol and the taste and the mouthfeel of the alcohol in there. How do all of these things interact differently with the perception of bitterness there?
Yeah, like in a barley wine, the bitterness is still going to be fairly hidden, even though it's such a big number. Mm-hmm. Because you get this malt and the way it's fermented, that you're going to get these rich toffee, caramely characters going on that, at the end of your glass, you're probably not once thought about, oh, this is a bitter beer. It's just the flavors are so dominant from the malt-driven side.
Usually I'm thinking about, how do I get that last drop right there?
Yeah, and that's kind of the magic of it, because as you're building up one side, again, you're building up the other, and and I would always say a barley wine is still very malt forward, even though it has such a high bitterness.
Yeah, especially value. The American ones. It's right. Yeah, they're a little bit more balanced there, but.
But and the other thing you can do with these beers that you got to remember, hops are a great preservative. So these are the type of the beers, these barley wines and stuff that you're going to age. Yeah. And that's fun game there, because as the beer ages, it's going to change, and pull a bottle out every year.
And as it ages, then even that bitterness is going to kind of pull back a little bit and soften.
Yeah, because a lot of beers you'll see that the malt character might dry out a little bit, but then the bitterness falls off a little bit.
Yeah. So this discussion of we're bringing everything into balance, is that why some of the beers that I've had that have been 90 to 100 IBUs are ironically or paradoxically more drinkable than a West Coast IPA at 60 IBUs?
Yes, I mean that's obvious because even like some of these West Coast IPAs are going to get up into that 100 range, and you almost want to think of them as a Pilsner on steroids been working out. I mean, it still comes across as a dry, drinkable beer, but with infinite amount more flavor than a Pilsner.
Yeah.
But yet you can almost drink them like a Pilsner.
It's just ready to pump you up.
Right. Yes. And that's what's interesting because, yeah, I mean, you get into the realm. This is an out of balance beer, and you're going to have to enjoy bitterness characters of a beer. But at the same time, it's not, going to always clean and whiten your teeth. It's going to, still be a nice, refreshing beer. Yeah.
Well, and I would almost recommend for those people who don't like IPAs, who don't like bitterness, who don't want to even go there. They've tried it, they don't want to go there. I would tell them to stick to 40 IBUs and under, or 80 IBUs and above. Right, for those same reasons.
Yeah, because like those two IPAs are dramatically different.
Yeah, well, and just, I mean, the beers that come out of those IBU ranges, like we were just talking about, you're going to end up with a barley wine at 80 to 100, and that can be very enjoyable, but a different occasion.
Correct.
So what occasion would you want to have some of these big IBU beers?
To me, like I like drinking when I'm just hanging out with friends and we're partying, having a great time. It's just like, that's my go-to beers and IPA, and I just love the flavors, and you're usually, got grazing on a buffet or something, and just kind of the hangout beer, listening to music and not thinking about much else. That's
perfect to me. Either have just a small group of friends over and play some jazz in the background or something like that, and pretend like I'm an intellectual, I'll have a fancy beer, or if it's a Friday night movie night and I've had a long week, then that's just perfect.
Yeah.